Ryan Mallett thrust his name into the Heisman Trophy discussion. 380 yards, 3 touchdowns on the road against Georgia. Arkansas is undefeated and welcomes in #1 Alabama. Speaking of Bama, Mark Ingram made his return very memorable. 151 yards, 2 touchdowns on just 9 carries. That's 16 yards a carry, and their win over Duke. We mentioned those last 2 players are going to face off this weekend when Alabama takes on Arkansas. Top-ranked Crimson Tide, well, they're outscoring opponents by over 38 points a game through the first 3. And the Razorbacks, meanwhile, they're clicking on all cylinders behind, as we mentioned, Ryan Mallett. For more on the matchup, let's get out to the source. Chase Goodbread covers the Tide for the Tuscaloosa News. All right, Chase, Mark Ingram is back. The team looks great, but nobody's perfect. What's the biggest concern for Alabama heading to Fayetteville this weekend?
It has to be the pass defense, no question. They've got a lot of inexperience back there. They really haven't been challenged deep down the field the way Ryan Mallett will challenge them. Alabama handled Mallett pretty easily in Tuscaloosa last year. It was one of his worst games of the season, but this is a completely different defense now, and Ryan Mallett's obviously got another year of experience under his belt since then. So handling him deep down the field and handling maybe the most underappreciated wide receiver in the SEC in Greg Childs going to be a big challenge for Alabama's pass defense.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Chase. And for the Arkansas perspective, let's go down there and bring in Tom Murphy. He writes for the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. How confident are the Hogs that they can be the team that takes down the Tide this weekend in Fayetteville?
Well, I have no doubt that the Arkansas players are very confident they can make this upset happen. They're coming off of a road win. It got them over the hump on the road. They had not been very successful there, and they're playing a lot better defense right now. The fans are really jacked up for this game. They have not beaten the #1 team in Fayetteville since they smothered Texas in 1981. But there are some concerns. The Razorbacks did not run the ball very well last week, and as we know, Alabama has a run-stopping defense. And I think Arkansas is going to have to win the turnover battle and be able to run the ball to some success to have a chance to knock off the Crimson Tide.
Thank you very much for the local flavor. We appreciate the time, Tom.
You got it.
We know that Arkansas's offense is really good and Alabama's defense is really good. That's going to be a nice little battle. Yeah. On the other side, we know Alabama's offense is really good. I don't know about Arkansas's defense. If you're the Arkansas defensive coordinator, what are you going to game plan this week? What are you going to do other than, let's face it, not sleep and sweat a lot?
You got to stack the box. That's the only way they're going to win this game is to stop the run. They will not play against a more determined group at running the ball, a more talented group at running the ball than Alabama. When you look at Mark Ingram and Trent Richardson, these guys run with intensity, passion, and determination. I spoke to Mark before the Duke game. He said, Desmond, I just want to get out there and knock the rust off. That kid not only knocked the rust off, he added a little spit shine with that performance. So this group is going to have to be physical for 4 quarters. And the thing about Alabama, once they can run the ball consistently, Jesse, what it does is it takes the crowd out the game, and it keeps Arkansas's offense on the sideline.
Des, I think this is the best Alabama offense we've seen in a very long time. And I had a chance to meet with Duke head coach David Cutcliffe Friday before that game against Alabama. He told me, you know, it used to be back in the day playing a Nick Saban team, you understood they had a superior defense to you, but if your offense was a bit better than theirs, you could survive the game, get into the 4th quarter, and then anything could happen. Well, he said those days are over because Nick Saban has built a superior offense. In a time in college football where everyone seems to be moving to spread offenses, up-tempo offenses, he said Nick Saban's been very smart. He's focused on the power, and the proof was in the pudding. 626 yards of total offense against Duke. This truly is a balanced team, and I'm curious to see how Arkansas plans to defend that.
So I guess the plan, what I'm hearing so far, is stop the Heisman Trophy winner and the other guy, and you're going to have to take your chances with Julio Jones and a quarterback who hasn't lost since the 8th grade. That's the weak part of the offense.
Preston Dial is a freak at tight end. Greg McElroy's thrown 5 interceptions. 17 starts there, like picking poison.
Good luck.
Exactly.
All right.
And that brings us to our Dr. Pepper quest for the Coach's Trophy featured matchup, and it has to be the Hogs and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Arkansas proved a major point winning on the road with this toss from Ryan Mallett to Greg Childs. Mallett's first road win as a starting quarterback as an Arkansas Razorback on the road in the SEC. Now he's at home against the #1 team of the nation. Remember the preseason talk? Is Arkansas for real? Can they contend in the SEC West? It comes down to this game many people are billing as the most important home game for Arkansas in quite some time. But why is this a not so good time to catch the Alabama Crimson Tide, if there's any good time to really catch them?
Well, there's never a really good time to catch Alabama and the Crimson Tide, but Trent Richardson's enough, and he's shown that he can carry a load. But welcome back, Mark Ingram. I mean, look at this guy. I mean, no hesitancy. I mean, you think about having surgery a couple weeks ago, and he still stuck that foot in the ground, made some great cuts. So now you got both headed running backs back. And guess what? You also got Marcell Dareus. He was suspended for the first 2 games. So arguably the best 2 players on Alabama's team comes back, and now you have to face them both.
Dareus is more important than 22. I know that sounds odd, but he is. And I think that's where the difference is going to come for Arkansas is the Hogs up front for the Hogs had better buckle up because the front 7 for Alabama will determine the outcome of this game in my mind because it will affect the back end in the secondary for Alabama with so much youth in the secondary. Whether it's Dante Hightower, Marcell Dareus, the looks, the pressures, the blitzes, that's what's going to get you. So if you're Ryan Mallett and you look at last week right here, you see the shot he took, which was absolutely outstanding, really exposing a cover 2 that was not executed well. Look at the player to your left, that's the corner. That's Sanders Cummings. He should sink with this vertical route. Instead, he jumps the out route. So now the safety doesn't have enough time to get over the top, leaves a huge void down the sideline for Ryan Mallett, who keys it nicely. But now look at the pressure up front. From the tackle position, then the linebacker late, gets in the face of Robert Bolden. Robert Bolden throws the ball up for grabs, results in a turnover. Pressure bursts the pipe, folks. And if you can get people with Alabama's pressure up against Penn State here in Robert Bolden, now against a veteran, experienced quarterback in Ryan Mallett, he's going to have to make accurate throws versus tight coverage with people in his face for the first time this season.
And Alabama not sacking the quarterback a lot, but they're disrupting him. They're getting pressure on him. And last year, Mark Ingram, this was one of his worst games of the year. He only had 50 yards rushing, less than 3 yards a carry. So he's going to be upset and ready to roll, too.
And when you look at this list of quarterbacks the Bama defense has faced so far, definitely a step up against Ryan Mallett.
Yeah.
But they've seen them before. Just 1 year ago in T-Town, they go up against Ryan Mallett, and they hold the big old 6'7" quarterback to less than 50% passing. Talked a lot in the offseason as well about Arkansas trying to get back to that offense that Petrino absolutely loved at Louisville. Bruising running backs to set the tone. We haven't seen that so far through 3 games this year. What does that mean when they're going up against Bama?
Well, I mean, it's so important to stay balanced. You think about Nick Saban, you think about Kirby Smart. They do such a great job. If you get one-dimensional, they're going to know exactly where to bring heat from. But you know about this cat. He can sling it all over the field. You've seen him do it time and time again. But how about the inability to rush the football? This is a 6-man front for Georgia. You remember what Marcus Latimer did a week ago against Georgia? I mean, now you look at this. They've got to be able to get positive plays. There's a 1-yard loss. You look at it again. 6 men in the box, a 3-4 defense that you're going to see. Justin Houston comes in there and tackles him for a 3-yard loss. Alabama will do it with a 5-man box, and they can still be successful. You look at Penn State, a much better running attack than you're going to find with Arkansas. And Alabama does it with 5 and still makes them bounce north-south and get 3 or 4 yards. So they've got to stay balanced to give Mallett a chance.
Any concern with the young secondary for Alabama?
Well, yeah, there's concern. You know, you've got Daquan Menzie, the junior college transfer. DeMarcus Miller didn't start last week because of an illness. He had started previously, but Drake Kirkpatrick gets his first turnover through the air last week. I think they're going to be fine because the front's going to be good.
Brutal schedule.
Yeah.
But then again, it is Alabama. Even Thornhill wants to say this. Please don't kiss Alabama's butt today as much as you normally do. It's okay to talk about the other teams that have played real teams and not the 2 scrimmages versus San Jose State and Duke like Alabama has. Penn State's not too bad.
Who's that directed towards? Luganville or?
About that?
Who's doing the kiss?
That's all over Pollock, I think.
Oh, Davey Pollock has been doing that. Well, pucker up. You go first on the road at Arkansas. What do you got?
Well, I'll give him some more love. I mean, on the road at Arkansas, how about you just got your best 2 players back? I mean, you just got Mark Ingram back. Now you get Marcell Dareus. So I'm going to kiss up some more because, I mean, you saw it last week. I was shocked at Mark Ingram's return. I mean, stuck the foot in the ground, looked really good. I mean, a lot of times it's in your head. You know, it's more mental when you're coming off an injury. And I thought he just showed that he was pretty dynamic and he was ready to go. So now you got two good running backs to deal with and a better defensive line now with Darius back.
And the switch has flipped with Alabama. I mean, the offense is now the star. You know,
yeah.
And really the defense is the unknown, the question mark this season. So many young players. I know there's talent there, but especially in the secondary. This group a year ago, Ryan Mallett completed 34.3% of his throws. The same guy that beat Georgia last week, the same guy who, you know, completed 70% of his throws in I think 3 or 4 different games last year. I mean, he's an unbelievable talent. To hold him to that, it's part scheme and it's part skill. I went back and watched, you know, 5 times out of 35 throws, they actually sent 5 rushers. And they never sent 6. It was always 3 and 4. 30 of the 35 times, Alabama just backed off. They made them throw into tight windows. And they were able to do so because they had Javier Arenas, Kareem Jackson, 2 corners that can play man, that can back off and play some zone, and we're always in the right position.
That's why it's so important that Marcel Darius is back, because with the youth in the back end, DeMarcus Milliner at corner now, he was sick last week, got some limited snaps. Phelan Jones starts for him. Daquan Menzie, the corner from the junior college ranks. Those guys are young. They're inexperienced back there, but pressure bursts the pipe, guys, and it starts up front. And in my opinion, with Ryan Mallett, you are not going to have big, wide windows to be thrown into. You're going to have to throw into tight spots. Joe Adams, Greg Childs, DJ Williams, they're all going to have to separate versus man coverage. This is going to be much more of a challenge, even though it's at home, than I think people believe it's going to be.
Well, here's something else, though. We talk about defense. Everybody said going into the season, this Alabama defense has been overhauled. All these new quote-unquote starters, they're so deep, the way they rotate their personnel. Everybody had starting experience coming into this season. But they've only allowed 1 offensive touchdown, guys. And so even on the defensive side of the ball, you face a Duke team that's pass-oriented. Now, you did give up your first passing touchdown of the season, and then when they jumped into that no huddle, Nick Saban said, it looked like we got a little bit tired. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't try to fast break this a little bit. If they're able to stay on the scoreboard early in this game, Arkansas come out there, jump the ball, see if they can't get out ahead of it, especially with Ryan Mallett spinning into that secondary.
You know, the one thing that I've been impressed with by Alabama is their offensive line. I mean, I don't care who you put in there at running back. I don't care. Greg McElroy's looking good, but I think we've got to give the credit to the guys up front. And they have played outstanding, pushing the pile back, moving. I mean, when you just watch the highlights, it doesn't matter who's running the football. They've established the line of scrimmage 3 yards down, and when you can do that, it makes it much more comfortable. They talked about diversifying the offense. You got to have good play-action pass to make that happen. This offensive line has been outstanding.
Stinch is loving you right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk it up, Bob. Keep going, baby. Heisman trophies.
We talk skilled guys all the time, but that's where it comes.
It's true, and they just reload. They lost 2 starters last year, Johnson and Davis, and Joe Pendry does a great job of having a physical nature up front, but they're athletes as well. It's not like they're just grinding it out at Alabama anymore. We talk about Jim McElwain and his ideas that he brought from Nevada. He's in year 3 now, and he's starting to open things up a little bit. This isn't just some meat grinder where we're going to run between the tackles, 2 tights, boys, and see if we can't out-physical you. It's a passing offense, and Greg McElroy, he's the reason they won the game last year. Mark Ingram only had 50 yards.
So how does Arkansas win?
Well,
how does Arkansas pull this off?
Here's the point I'm going to make. You talk about Alabama being able to run the ball when they want to, not just when they have to, when they want to. That's Arkansas's problem. 348 yards on the ground in 3 games. If you think for 1 second Alabama believes that Arkansas can run the football on, we watched them versus Georgia, 3- and 4-man fronts, Georgia bringing Arkansas and demolishing Arkansas's offensive
I say
front.
abandon it.
But do you think
I would basically abandon the run game. Last year, I think there were 2. I don't have Mike Freer at my disposal right now. I think there were 2 of 13 on third down conversions. They tried to establish the run. They couldn't do it, and then they wound up in 2nd and 9, 3rd and 7, and then they came after him. And you know, Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, when they have an opportunity 3rd and long, they're
go for the throw.
They're going to get you.
You can't stay one-dimensional, though. I mean, just
I'm not saying completely, but I'm not lining up on first down and running the ball and trying to get 2 or 3 yards. It's not going to work.
23 rushes against Georgia for 53 yards.
Right.
I mean, less.
So why are we going to waste 23 snaps running the football?
Because if you get one-dimensional, Kirby Smart and Nick Saban are going to figure you out. They're going to make the quarterback get off his spots. You can start doing straight pass blitzes as opposed to run blitzes, and it makes it so predictable. The linemen get to tee off. So how about screens and drills?
That's what I'm saying.
You got to have a screen game.
The short pass game becomes your run game. Supplement it.
Part of this is predicated on the scoreboard, right? Because we're also talking about what Arkansas is going to do offensively. Well, you might want to stick to the run unless, of course, Alabama's blowing your defense up, which, again, we talk about what Alabama can do offensively. Sometimes that's your best defense. If we're worried about the secondary for the Crimson Tide, it's whether or not can Arkansas afford to get out there and spin it every single down. Are they still going to stay committed to this supposed running game that's never really been established under Bobby Petrino? He says he wants to run the football, but can he against his front?
Well, he's had a history of running the ball. I just don't think that up front they have the identity that they want to have right now. I mean, they've got backs. They don't have the up front.
You go back and watch the last. They get the ball, I believe, 11 minutes left. They have the lead, and all they want to do is run the clock down and do it again. Georgia defense, it's better versus the run than the pass, but not great. They couldn't come close to doing it. Their offensive linemen are on the ground. Their fullback doesn't know how to lead block. It's a mentality they don't have yet, and so that's why I think if they
don't have it now, when are they ever going to get it?
Not
true.
While,
Well, if there's ever a time, you go against Duke last week, a pass-oriented offense, and they get 146 yards on the ground. They played San Jose State. Penn State did not rush the football against Alabama, but still, they're middle of the conference right now in rush defense. So it's not as if there's some brick wall up front. There might be a chance, if the scoreboard allows, for you to at least attempt some rushing attack to help augment the Ryan Mallett.
And if you want to give Arkansas some love for not being, or Georgia's defense some love too, think about the week before. They gave up 183 yards, 187 yards to Marcus Lattimore in South Carolina, who was 12th in the SEC last year in rushing. So if they can't run against that defense, how the heck do they run against Alabama?
We're hearing so much about Heisman. Ryan Mallett's going to get some of that Heisman love. Mark Ingram perhaps back in the picture. But Bruce, you look at a guy like Greg McElroy. Is there any chance that if he has another one of those career performances, like Matt, you brought up that he had against the Hogs last season, he gets into that Heisman picture?
I think even though he's on the best team, I think he's a long shot just because he's got the two running backs you have. I mean, people are still talking about Mark Ingram. They're going to talk about Trent Richardson. I just don't think he's going to put up the numbers. He would have to have maybe a 20 to 1 TD interception ratio and for everybody else to backslide, because I just don't think there's going to be enough people that are going to get out of the mindset that he's just a game manager, and I think that ultimately that hurts him.
I think you're exactly right. But I will say this, I was surprised. Look at the national rankings for passing efficiency.
Yeah, number one.
I mean, it's only a few weeks, but it's pretty impressive.
The Heisman Trophy. You saw him a little earlier in the show, striking the Heisman pose in game. So why not actually win the Heisman for real? The expert Sports Nation poll wants to know who is the Heisman frontrunner after 3 weeks. It's all quarterbacks, and these are the choices for you. Terrell Pryor, Denard Robinson, Andrew Luck, Ryan Mallett, Kellen Moore. I guess you can pick someone else out there, but this is what Sports Nation is limiting it to.
If we had to vote it today, I'd give him the award.
I would give him the award today, but we all know that you don't win the Heisman on teams that have multiple losses, and you can't win the Heisman if you don't play well on TV against the best opponent. That's how Mark Ingram won it. He's a player on the best team, had his best performances against the best teams on their schedule on national television, and that's exactly why Terrell Pryor will be the front runner, because he has the least obstructed path to get there schedule-wise. He's just got to not turn the ball over when they play Iowa. He's got to not make poor decisions against quality opponents, because they're going to be better than everybody else. And that's why when we look at that list, look at the teams that have an opportunity to be undefeated in that list, pull those players out, and that will be your Heisman front runners in 6, 7, 8 weeks from now. Ryan Mallett, on the other hand, Saturday could catapult himself to the top of that list with one performance.
Yeah, to me, that was the guy I was thinking of. You circle Saturday. If I'm Ryan Mallett, I think I've got a shot at this thing. Here's my chance. You're facing what is perceived to be the best defense in the land. We can argue about it all we want, but if you put together a good performance in that game, you've already proven you can win on the road, something he had not done in his entire career. And everybody will see it. And everybody will see it.
You need to win that game, though?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely he does. Because that's part of it is, especially where Terrell Pryor's the front runner coming into the season, everybody said, here's your Heisman front runner. He goes undefeated. He doesn't compromise him in any games, protects the football, and I think the trophy is his. But if you get a Ryan Mallett, unseat the #1 team in the country, all of a sudden people are going to say, well, here's this pure pocket passer. This guy's putting up unbelievable statistics, and he did it against the #1 team in the country, hadn't lost a conference game or a regular season game in 2 years.
Welcome, everyone, to College Football Live. John Saunders alongside of Trevor Matich. Joe Schad will join us momentarily with plenty of news, but first we want to also remind you we're going to talk about Boise State and Oregon. What a great game, or Oregon State rather, what a great game that's coming up this weekend. But let's get to the Heisman Trophy winner who is returning for the marquee matchup. Alabama will face number 10 Arkansas, a matchup between two of the best offenses in the country. Alabama's got a lot stronger last week with the return of the Heisman Trophy winner, Mark Ingram. Joining us now from the DirecTV mobile studio is Mark Ingram. And Mark, congratulations on getting back to football. But my first question is, you look like you didn't just miss playing, you look like you missed punishing the players on the other team.
Yeah, I really been just looking forward to getting back out there with my teammates. And I had a lot of built-up anxiety. I was ready to play, so I had to take it out on the other team.
Well, Trevor Matich says that's one of the things that makes you such a great runner, is that you don't look just to get the yardage, but to get that extra yard with the punishment, seeking out a guy that you get to hit. Do you actually do that, seek somebody out to finish the play?
Yes, sir, definitely. When I'm running the ball and there's really nowhere else to go, or I feel like I'm being corralled, or there's really nowhere else to go, I'll pick one defender out and I'll just try and punish him or try and make him miss so I can get extra yardage.
Well, 9 carries for 151 yards would seem to answer this question, but I'll ask it anyway. How is the knee?
Oh, my knee feels great. It feels better than ever. It feels brand new. I feel faster. I feel quicker out there. So I worked real hard doing rehab, trying to get back out there with my team, and it paid off because I feel great.
Now, you're a human being, obviously. You had to hear all the talk, and there were some commentators that said, you know what, Alabama's not going to miss Mark Ingram. Trent Richardson's there. He's just as good. He might be even better. When you heard that talk, did that give you more momentum and make you want to get out there and show who the #1 back was?
Well, Trent is a great back, and he did a great job when I was hurt. And he's a real special player. He can make you miss. He's fast. He's powerful. And he deserved all the attention that he was getting. But at the same time, when people were just saying that Alabama didn't need me, or that, that things like that, I just kind of took that to heart, and it really wanted me to go out there and prove them wrong and prove the critics wrong, and that I can go out there and I can make plays, that I'm capable of doing big things as well.
You're getting ready for a huge matchup against Arkansas. What concerns you about their defense?
Their defense last year, they gave us a lot of trouble running the ball. I mean, if Trent didn't break his run where he broke about 5 or 6 tackles, we wouldn't even have had 100 yards rushing. So that's definitely a point of emphasis. We want to be able to move the ball, take advantage on the line of scrimmage, but their defense is strong, and they're experienced, and they're playing a lot faster. So it's definitely going to be a challenge for us this week, but we're looking forward to it.
As a Heisman Trophy winner, you are now a Heisman Trophy voter. So I have to ask you, what did you think about Reggie Bush handing back the Heisman Trophy?
I really don't like to get into that. You know, Reggie made a decision and gave his trophy back, and the Heisman Trust said what they had to say, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
No doubt you're not giving yours back, though, right?
No, I'm not giving mine back.
All right, Mark, I didn't think you would. Good luck on Saturday against Arkansas.
All right, thanks for having me.
Well, the big battle in Fayetteville features 2 red-hot offenses. The Tide are coming off a 62-point showing at Duke and are also holding opponents to 6.3 points per game. The 10th-ranked Razorbacks are scoring 35 points per game and only allowing 11. But that offense of Arkansas, I mean, everybody has talked about Denard Robinson as being the leader for the Heisman. If there's a guy hot on his heels, it's Ryan Mallett.
That's right, and Mallett and these receivers can beat you straight up with speed and skill. But on top of that, these are some seriously devious people. Last week against Georgia, they snookered the Bulldogs all game long. On this play fake, watch how Mallett hides the ball behind his back before he launches it. Now, another angle shows the effect this has on the pass defense. The 3 guys who could cover tight end Chris Gragg are looking at the running back. They're ignoring Gragg at tight end because the quarterback clearly doesn't have the ball, right? Oops. Mallett throws the strike for the easy score. These are sneaky, sneaky Razorbacks. Now, I love this next one. Mallett shows his empty hand to the defense as if he's saying, I don't have the ball. Pay no attention to me. Now, the pass is dropped, but that was a seriously awesome fake. But on this one, Mallett looks like he's got a sloppy fake. He makes no attempt to extend his arm. He doesn't try to hide them. It's almost like he's saying, look at me. I have the ball. Pay no attention to this guy, the one I just faked it to. On cue, Georgia pays no attention to Ronnie Wingo, and it's another touchdown. Those are some seriously devious Razorbacks. Now, imagine Ryan Mallett at confession the next day. Forgive me, for I have sinned. I have deceived 11 Georgia Bulldogs, and I liked it. Now, this young Alabama secondary hasn't been tested yet, but they'd better be careful because while they're trying to chase receivers, they won't be able to trust their own lion eyes.
They'll be hoping to give the same confession next Sunday.
Well, back in week 2, Georgia saw a 4-game win streak in Columbia fall by the wayside. Then this past Saturday, a 6-game win streak over Arkansas was snapped, and that was in part because of a magnificent final drive engineered by Ryan Mallett. Now, Matt last week told us he wanted to see something from Ryan Mallett on the road. He's the Davey O'Brien quarterback of the week, Matt. What did he show you?
Well, he earned it, that's for sure. We talked about it. Listen, as a starter, Ryan Mallett's never won a game on the road. It wasn't just last season. It dates all the way back to Michigan, where all his victories were home games. But right now, he's proven what he can do in a hostile environment, also on the road. And we're talking about the SEC West and whether or not Arkansas can compete to represent that division in Atlanta at the end of the season. It all hinges on Ryan Mallett's play. We knew that it was the road performances that where he really needed to improve. He more than did that versus Georgia, and it was that final 2-minute drive, really with less than 50 seconds on the clock, where he proved his worth.
Already over 1,000 passing yards and 9 touchdowns in just 3 games. Ingram, he returns for Alabama in his first play, the first offensive play from scrimmage, just a 48-yard run, had another 50-yarder later in the first quarter. By the time he had 3 carries, he had already topped the 100-yard mark. What does his return mean for the Crimson Tide?
He looked a little rusty, didn't he? I mean, Mark, are you feeling okay, Mark? You think the trainers were concerned at all? You know, I think if anything else, this is just yet another bullet in the gun of the Alabama Crimson Tide offense. And you look at it, Coach McElwain, as creative as he is, to give him yet another weapon, not only in that backfield, you know you've got Trent Richardson, but what wrinkle is he going to develop as the season unfolds? Are we going to see a wildcat type of formation where Mark Ingram's handing it off to Trent Richardson? Who knows? But the fact of the matter is he's got so much talent back there that he can basically dial up a play. You got your Heisman Trophy winner, you got Trent Richardson that can do it all, and you got a very efficient quarterback. Mark Ingram once again bolstering this offense for the #1 team in the country.
And you thought McElwain was good at those video games before. Well, let's give props now to players courtesy of the conference. SEC Offensive Player of the Week, Arkansas quarterback Ryan Mallett, 21 of 33 for 380 yards with 3 TDs in that 31-24 win at Georgia. Mallett's touchdown passes, 57, 22, and 40 yards, and the last one went to Greg Childs with only 15 seconds remaining, capping a 3-play game-winning drive, which started with only 47 seconds left. Ryan Mallett's Razorbacks crack the top 10 at number 10. Once again, the SEC boasts 6 teams ranked in the latest AP Top 25 poll. Alabama holds steady at the top with Florida 9th. In the coaches poll, Arkansas, LSU, Auburn, and South Carolina are ranked between 11th and 15th. That marks the first time since conference expansion in 1992 that the SEC has placed 6 teams in the top 15 of one of the major polls. Now, Alabama hasn't even played an SEC game yet. They're at Arkansas this weekend. And Coach Nick Saban saying Monday that it's sort of a new season when conference play begins. Matt, you've played in the SEC. How is it different?
Well, the goal every season when you start is we want to win the SEC championship, and you want to represent your division in Atlanta in the Georgia Dome, and that's the gateway to your national championship opportunity, especially with the respect that this conference has earned in recent championship games. Knowing that, you have to have a strong conference record, and it starts this week for Alabama. Coach Saban knows that. They've circled this date on their schedule and their calendar for months, knowing that Arkansas will have already faced an SEC opponent, gained a little bit of confidence, and they have done just that. Alabama has to go to Fayetteville, the world's largest replay screen, in the world if you've ever been to that stadium, and they don't want Ryan Mallett to have highlights all day long against a young, inexperienced secondary for the Tide.
You look at the numbers right now for Alabama, #1 in total offense and scoring offense, #1 in total defense and scoring defense, but 42nd in rushing defense. Now, we keep hearing Bobby Petrino, Arkansas's head coach, talking about the Razorbacks opening up and improving their run game. Can they do it against Alabama?
Well, they've made some changes. They've got a new offensive line coach whose history traces itself back to the University of Nevada. Nevada is one of the best rushing teams in the country. Quarterback, a couple of tailbacks that can really run the ball. And that system has come to Arkansas, and they're looking to implement some of that. They've got the pistol formation, similar to what McElwain is doing as the offensive coordinator at Alabama. So there's some kindredship there when you look at these two programs. Right now, Bobby Petrino, if he can get this running game going, Dennis Johnson, if he can get healthy, even if he can't, Ronnie Wingo, Niles Davis on the ground, maybe a little Broderick Green sprinkled in there to complement this passing attack that they already have established, then that is a scary proposition even for a vaunted defense of the Alabama Crimson Tide, especially the fact that they gave up 140-plus yards on the ground to Duke, which is a passing team.
Nick Saban's always talking about the process of a season. At this point, what would Alabama's head coach like to see the Crimson Tide improve?
Well, when we look at their record and we're looking at the scoring margin and we look at just how complete this offense is played, there are still areas, especially when you look at a coach like Coach Saban, who's going to find areas for improvement. He felt like his defense got a little winded when Duke jumped the ball a little bit, went with a no huddle, and it led to 13 points. That's something that you don't want to see. You want to have depth on defense, and you know that this is a very long season with a lot of conference opponents coming up in a few weeks that have 2 weeks to prepare for you. Also, another fumble going in the red zone by Eddie Lacy at the tailback position. It seems nitpicky, but the bottom line is you've given up a touchdown now. They don't want anybody to score against them, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Those are areas that Coach Saban is going to circle and say, we can't afford to have turnovers. We can't afford to have them go 7 of 19 on third down. These are things that we're going to have to improve down the stretch.
As Ryan Mallett continues to garner Heisman Trophy attention with productive performances and excellent execution, Greg McElroy is once again quietly engineering another gem of a season. 14 of 20 for 258 passing yards and 3 touchdowns in the win at Duke. McElroy's record at Alabama as the starting quarterback is now 17-0. That was only outdone by Jay Barker, who began his Alabama career with a 22-0 mark from 1991 to 1993. And at numero uno, Arkansas's Ryan Mallett's in the zone.
Mallett has a wide open man. It's Childs. He's loose. He scores. Childs, please. Touchdown. Arkansas leads.
We welcome back our analyst, Matt Stinchcomb, for our final segment. He's got game balls to hand out.
I'm going to start on offense with DJ Williams, a tight end last year for Arkansas. Great pass-catching tight end, but he got better at blocking last year. But this game versus Georgia, 2 clutch catches in that final drive. Ryan Mallett gets the ball to Greg Childs, but the 2 completions previous to that went to his tight end, DJ Williams. The guy's been clutch for the Arkansas Razorbacks and will be for the rest of the season.
And finally, the afternoon delight in Arkansas, Razorbacks hosting Alabama.
The Crimson Tide. McElroy, as good as Mallett is, McElroy's even more efficient at that quarterback position. Arkansas is much improved, but they haven't improved enough to beat the #1 team in the country.
My favorite game of the week, Fayetteville. And you know they're already doing the woo, pig, suey chant already in Little Rock. It's #1 Alabama traveling to take on Arkansas. And Ryan Mallett thinks the Hogs are already on the right track.
We're going in the right direction right now, and we talked about that when Coach Petrino first got here, where we want to take this program. And with Alabama coming in here, 2 top 10 ranked teams, it's where we're wanting to go. And right now, the sky's the limit for this team, and it's all on us and what we decide to do with it. Alabama is a great football team, and there's no doubt about that. You know, they got the ring from last year, and they can show that around. But it's a new team we're playing, and we're excited. And to me, to win that game, it would mean a lot right now.
It's going to be fun in Fayetteville. Ryan Mallett got his first SEC road win last week at Georgia, but he really didn't have much trouble winning at home, including one game at Little Rock. Mallett, 8-1 in the state of Arkansas, and he's been tough to slow down in the passing game. More with him on game day, by the way, this weekend. Joe, how might the Heisman race take shape this weekend?
Eric, I think it's a big weekend. Each week we're going to survey official Heisman voters at ESPN, and I can tell you this, Eric, that right now the 2 names consistently showing up in our polling are Kellen Moore and Denard Robinson. But beyond them, This is a week in which there's an opportunity for big shakeup. And let's start with Alabama and Arkansas. Mark Ingram has to make up for lost time, but the big story here is Ryan Mallett. One of the pillars of Heismanology, Eric, is that we're looking for that magical moment that defines a player as college football's chosen one. Nothing does that more than upsetting number one.
Maybe their toughest test now. They're going to Fayetteville against the now 10th-ranked Arkansas Razorbacks. The key there is what?
Well, it's got to be that Alabama pass defense. Lost 3 out of 4 of their regular starters and 4 out of 5 of their nickel package, going against one of the most powerful pass attacks in the country for Arkansas. But you look at Arkansas's numbers, and it's really been the big play. Look at 4 touchdown drives against Georgia a week ago. Most of the yardage, 12 completions for 267 yards of the 297 yards passing. So if they can avoid the big play, if Alabama can do that, I think they got a pretty good shot against this Arkansas team.
Here are my stats that matter and stats that don't. Stats that matter. Denard Robinson leading the nation with 559 rushing yards in 3 games. Ryan Mallett, the only player to pass for over 1,000 yards on the season. And how about the Oregon Ducks? They are number 1 in scoring defense, number 1 in total defense, number 1 in scoring offense, number 1 in total offense. Those are stats that matter.
Let's not forget about the Hogs. They're in the top 25 of the recruiting rankings. What's your concerns with the depth chart?
Well, this is an offense that likes to throw the ball. You got to look at their tight ends. DJ Williams and Ben Cleveland, both seniors. They will utilize their tight ends, but I think that Arkansas is doing a nice job addressing that need with Demetrius Dean and Javonte Riles, the number 9 and 10 rated tight ends in this class at this time. And I would think that you can even say they are winning the underrated tight end recruiting battle, because a lot of people don't give these 2 guys credit. Demetrius Dean at Fayetteville High School is a young man who's really got great hands, and Javonte Riles is just possesses a great target to throw through, soft hands, the ability to high point the ball. So I think those are 2 guys that can help that offense as far as receiving targets.
And Riles is a kid from Alabama. He says the Crimson Tide wanted him to play on the defensive side of the football, but currently as a wide receiver in high school, wants to get a little love on the offensive side of the ball. That's why I think Arkansas is the right place for him. Let's take a look, though, at the top tight end classes overall. Maybe you see the Arkansas Razorbacks sneaking up on some people.
But first, the game of the weekend when number 1 goes on the line. And this is the game that may have the biggest impact on the national championship picture. It takes us to Arkansas. There's a room full of Razorbacks that think it's their time to step up and take hold of the SEC, specifically the SEC West. They're going to get their shot when number 1 Alabama comes a-calling. ESPN's David Norrie will have the call of the game on radio. He joins us via telephone. David, from what you've seen on tape, why is the Alabama offense so difficult to stop?
Well, I think the real misnomer about the Tide is they're a power offense, a power running game that's just going to pound the ball at you. And really, they have the ability to spread out. They have the ability to go empty in the backfield. And Nick Saban wants to pass the football to get a lead, and then he wants to run the ball in the second half to win the football game. They're so multi-dimensional, obviously, with Richardson and Ingram at the running back position. They're so talented, and they give you 2 distinctly different looks. But it's McElroy at quarterback and his ability to pass the ball to get leads for the Tide that really sets them apart.
And then when Alabama's on defense, what's their plan to stop Ryan Mallett, who you could make the argument is the best quarterback in the SEC?
Well, I think he is the best quarterback in the SEC. Certainly, he's the best drop-back passer in the SEC. And there's no doubt in my mind that the Alabama defensive strategy is going to be to get him off the center line on 3-step, 5-step, 7-step drops. When he drops back in the pocket, they're going to want to get him off that center line to reshift, to reset his feet. And then on rollouts and bootlegs, when he's moving the pocket, they want to reroute him. They had a lot of success last year. He was only 12 for 35 in that game. And I think Nick Saban and his defense are going to employ that same strategy.
Excellent. Thank you very much, David. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Eric.
Mark Ingram returned from his knee injury last week against Duke, rushed for 151 yards, a couple of touchdowns on just 9 carries. This week, we'll see if he can continue the big game production that earned him the Heisman in 2009. In 6 outings against ranked teams last year, averaged nearly 190 from scrimmage. 60% came after contact. Robert, I know you don't give Arkansas that much of a chance, but they do some things well that you've figured out.
Yeah, definitely. And it's the long ball. And if you're defensive coordinator Kirby Smart at Alabama, you have got to get this secondary ready for that. Remember, out of those 9 starters gone from this Alabama defense from last year, 3 out of 4 gone from the regular secondary, 4 out of 5 if you count the nickel package. But when you look at this Arkansas team from last week against Georgia, 12 completions for 267 yards on their 4 touchdown drives, obviously relying heavily on that big play. Of course, if you're Alabama, have to be careful. Young guys back there, you know that they're going to be taking their chances with some blitzes, which is going to expose some people on the back end. But you have to be solid in your coverage, solid in tackling. If Alabama can do that and also get some pressure on Ryan Mallett, which is something they haven't really done this year. Really they had 1 sack last week against Duke, and Duke threw the ball 37 times, so they're going to have to generate more of a pass rush against Ryan Mallett, take some of that pressure off their own side.
Everybody's talking about it down in Fayetteville. Top-ranked Alabama coming to town. What will be key for Bama against Arkansas?
Yeah, it's no secret. It's how physical they can be in the trenches. Alabama's bread and butter is being physical and controlling the line of scrimmage, offensively and defensively. Of course, on the offensive side, if they can control the line of scrimmage and run the ball with Trent Richardson and Mark Ingram, it keeps that high-powered Arkansas Razorback offense on the sideline. So that's key. Controlling the trenches on the offensive side and the defensive side for Alabama.
I think Arkansas knows coming into this game, as much as people want to talk about Ryan Mallett, I think the big key for Arkansas coming into this game is they have to load up to stop the running game of Trent Richardson and Mark Ingram. And Alabama, to their credit, is so balanced that when they see Arkansas with 8 and 9 guys up close to the line of scrimmage, that's when I think you're going to see Greg McElroy play action 1st and 10 a lot, getting the ball downfield. So how will the Arkansas corners hold up one-on-one on the outside against Julio Jones and company? I think will be very big key in this game.
Alabama going to Arkansas. Any love for the Razorbacks?
Not from me, not on this pick. Alabama, that run game, that's the best defense is a good offense. Mark Ingram, Trent Richardson, pound it down Arkansas's throat.
Hey, let's talk about this. 3 weeks already in the book, right? So there are some players making some really big impact, but they're still under the radar. And I'm going to give a little teaser. The guy that you're about to talk about, if he has a big game today for Arkansas, he's no longer under the radar.
Well, I think the first guy, Lee Fitting is just amazing, but the first guy you're going to talk about here is Joe Adams. Joe Adams leads the Arkansas offense right now, 344 yards receiving. You know, he's averaging 23 yards of reception. Huge day today. He has to be able to step up against the Alabama secondary. He and Greg Childs are the key, but I think Joe Adams is the guy because of his great speed.
Arkansas quarterback Ryan Mallett says he wants to put on a show against top-ranked Alabama. Says he wants to do it for his teammates, for the fans, and for the people of his home state. But Mallett knows that for Arkansas to have any chance, they must play with an improved defensive unit. Alabama quarterback Greg McElroy, who actually leads the nation in pass efficiency, says that what he sees is a more complex and more sound Arkansas defense. Arkansas students are jacked for this game. They begin setting up tents outside the stadium on Monday. The local Walmart has actually sold out of those tents. Now, Bobby Petrino is convinced Arkansas they have a chance to win this game, a great chance, telling them in a pregame meeting, you do not have to do anything extraordinary.
All right, Alabama takes on Arkansas today. Crimson Tide on the road, Fayetteville in a fever pitch. What's the biggest issue for the Tide?
I think personally it's going to be the crowd noise at Arkansas. I've coached in Arkansas. I've coached against Arkansas in Fayetteville, and I want to tell you, there's no crowd in the world that understands the game of football more than they do. From the time you get to the line of scrimmage, they start screaming and hollering. You can't hear the cadence. You can't hear checkout. And a couple of those bad plays stop your drive. Alabama's an outstanding football team in every phase. The only thing that can beat them is the crowd.
I think for Alabama, traveling down the road, the biggest concern would be turnovers, because going in a big game, hostile environment like that, you want to protect the football. Alabama usually doesn't turn it over. Greg McElroy has been terrific throughout his career protecting the football. I think that would be the biggest concern, going down the road and turnovers.
What a crazy, entertaining, great rivalry this has been over the years. 2003, Hogs were in the top 10, but Shawn Williams busts through for an 80-yard touchdown. Alabama rolling 31-10. Fourth quarter, Arkansas furious rally. Matt Jones to Richard Smith, ties it at 31. Chris Balsero with a chip shot wins it 34-31 for the Hogs. 3 years later, Again, hosting Alabama, Lee Tiffin. Missed 3 field goals and an extra point in overtime. Mitch Mustaine to Ben Cleveland, steaming in the end zone. The extra point gives the Hogs a 24-23 win. In 07, Arkansas at Alabama. Tied or rolling again in the third quarter, 24-10. John Parker Wilson, Nick Walker. It's 31-10 before the rally. McFadden with a wild hog ties to the 31. Wilson the fade. Touchdown as time expires. Saban wins. Traditionally, it's been a very tough place to win in Fayetteville, kind of in the pre-Saban era. It is a huge day down there, as Aaron said. The first top 10 matchup since 1979. A chance for Arkansas to get a signature win, shake up the championship chase, announce themselves as contenders. By now, you know the storyline. Ryan Mallett, 6'6", cannon arm against all those fresh faces in the Alabama secondary. 9 new starters from the group that rattled Mallett a year ago. And the Tide offense. Greg McElroy, so efficient. Ingram looks re-energized against an Arkansas defense that's looked pretty helpless in recent years. The Tide are leading the nation in yards per play, 8.5. Not the Broncos, but the Crimson Tide. They always win SEC openers, 18 in a row. But this game might represent Nick Saban's team's toughest challenge of the season. Here he is with Joe Schad.
Hey, Coach, tell me about some of the challenges that the Arkansas offense poses.
Well, I think number one, it's Ryan Mallett is an outstanding quarterback, good passer, very accurate, but the skill guys that he throws the ball to are also very challenging, including the tight end. So they've got some great receivers, great skill guys, great perimeter speed, and they still can run the football too. So the biggest challenge is their whole offensive scheme.
Your quarterback, Greg McElroy, actually leads the nation in pass efficiency. How has the evolution of the Alabama passing offense allowed you to do more things with your offense?
I think one of the things coming out of last year that we wanted to do was have more balance on offense. We have some good skill players ourselves, and we wanted to make sure we were utilizing their talents, whether it was Julio Jones, Darius Hanks, Marquise Mays. And, you know, Greg has developed nicely as a quarterback, makes good decisions, and our ability to run the ball and the balance we create is really our strength on offense.
Coach Saban, thanks very much, and good luck.
Thank you.
All right, Joe, each offense has been almost unstoppable. Just a handful of 3 and outs. Let's meet the Hogs besides Ryan Mallett. Mallett, a group of wide receivers, Joe Adams. These guys all return intact, along with the offensive line. Greg Childs, big 6'3" target, very tough to tackle. Can they get the yards after the catch today against that Tide secondary? DJ Williams, not prototypical tight end height, big 250-pounder. He's a threat to get open, and again, very tough to stop in the open field. Protection from Mallett has been good so far, but the Tide have only allowed 1 touchdown pass in the first 3 games. So it'll be a test for Mallett. He's been ripping everybody up. He leads the nation in second half passing efficiency, 197.3. Desmond, that's sick. TE-INT ratio of 6.0 in the red zone. He's completed 9 of 12 with 4 touchdowns and leads the nation with 11 completions of 25 yards. Everybody knows, Aaron, what a nightmare it was for Mallett last year. The only game in his career held under 200 yards in his 16 starts. He's low-key, but he's also keyed up the big challenge, I would imagine, against the Crimson Tide.
He certainly is, Chris. You know, that win against Georgia last week, Ryan Mallett experienced a few firsts. His first true road win as a starter and his first career game-winning drive. That winning score took Mallett just 3 plays, and it was during that he experienced maybe one of his biggest firsts.
23 seconds. Mallett gets the snap, wants to throw. Left sideline, complete at the 25. That's going to be a touchdown, Arkansas.
Take me through your emotions during that drive.
You know, probably last year I probably would have got just real excited and, you know, went nuts. But I was just real calm, clapped a couple times, and that's all I did. I feel like that's how I matured in the last year.
He's now really tried to be calm, understand when he makes a mistake, I can put it behind me. Understand when he makes a great play, I can put that behind me too, and get focused on the next task at hand.
I'm such a fierce competitor. It's hard because sometimes you want to, you know, get fired up and do the Tim Tebow after every 2-yard run, because I do get excited and I do get fired up, but in the back of my mind I keep telling myself just stay cool and stay calm, and that's what I try to do.
In February, Mallett broke his left foot, leaving him unable to participate in spring practices.
When you get injured,
How were you able to look at some things differently?
Being able not to stand on my foot for a while, it really helped me shorten my stride a little bit, and I've become more accurate because of it.
Mallett, the pass on the money.
Show us the stride pre-broken foot.
All right, the stride pre-broken foot, I would kind of get myself into a position which is not a great position to throw, and when I would let it go, it would come out and it would stay high.
Got a man, and he overthrew him.
And then sometimes I would keep my feet too close together and not be able to get my hips through. And that's when the nose would start diving on me.
And has an open man, but he underthrown.
Being where I had to wear that boot, I couldn't really step out far and put weight on it. I would just stand there and just repetitively just take a short, about 6-inch stride. You know, the repetition of that has shown to work for me.
Matt, big arm. A beautiful throw. Can't throw it much better than that.
Just for the record, how far can you throw a ball?
Come on now, Aaron. You know I can't tell you that. This is part of the legend. That's the only part of the legend of, I guess, Ryan Mallett I like to keep going.
Can you give us like a hint?
You know, this is good over 50.
Over 50? Under what?
Under 110.
Guys, we got Ryan Mallett out on the field after that interview in his socks and flip-flops, and he unleashed a 65-yarder before even warming up. He's got a big game today. We didn't want to get him in trouble, get him hurt, but this is something they're doing out on campus in Fayetteville right now. MustacheForMallet.com. It's Grow a Stash in support of Ryan Mallett and that Heisman campaign. Come on, CF, what do you got? Let's see it.
Yeah, it's not going to work for me.
Stash?
I think he's a very, very legit Heisman candidate,
stash.
especially if he can get it. That Alabama defense, Kirk, last year pressured him 8 times, sacked him 3 times, and as Todd McShay talked about in the film study, he only blitzed him 5 times. So they got through without having to blitz, and then they were able to break up passes and defend well in the secondary. But it's a different Alabama defense.
It is, and not to mention it's on the road this time, and Alabama is a completely different defense. And right now, you know, the first-team defense through 3 games has not allowed a touchdown. So despite breaking in 9 new starters, it's been business as usual. But today, again, against Ryan Mallett and Bobby Petrino, we're really going to find out how good this defense is and this inexperience in this defense, especially in the secondary. Mark Barron, who was a starting safety last year, the only returning starter, not just the 4 defensive backs, but look at the 2 deep. The other defensive backs at every other position before starting this year, they never took a meaningful snap. And all they've really played is against Penn State and San Jose State and Duke last week. But the way to offset that inexperience is pressure. This is what they did against Bolton in the game that they played at home and got a lot of pressure, and he threw a lot of interceptions. That's what we're going to look to do today. Here's, of course, the linebacker Hightower disguising the blitz, comes late, forces the quarterback to put it up into coverage, and there's the interception by Lowry. Now, Arkansas has the ability and the experience to be able to try to attack you, and they're going to attack you downfield. Look at Ryan Mallett. It's not just about Mallett, but look, 15 yards or more downfield. He spreads the wealth, and he likes to be able to throw for big plays. Greg Childs, Joe Adams get most of the attention. The tight end, DJ Williams down there, also going to be a factor. So he's not just spreading the wealth, he's getting the ball thrown downfield vertically, which means he needs time in the pocket to be able to do that. This is what he did last week against Georgia. And this is what you got to love about Ryan Mallett. His ability to look into a coverage and be able to come off of a guy and eventually find an opening. And if this Alabama's inexperienced defense makes one misstep, this is the first quarterback they've faced all year that can make them pay for it. This is the winning drive last week on the road in Athens. The first time Mallett's been able to step up. The secondary man makes one little mistake, puts his eyes in the backfield, loses the coverage, and again, Mallett's able to make him pay for it, puts it on the money, comes up with a big touchdown. So a lot of good stuff here about Ryan Mallett and his receivers and how they like to get the ball downfield. A key, obviously, will Mallett have time? And a big thing is, can they run the football? You have to have balance to slow down Nick Saban and his pressure schemes. And right now, Arkansas is last in the SEC in rushing. They just lost Dennis Johnson. He's not going to be playing. So really, Broderick Green, the USC transfer, has got to get something going to be able to slow down those creative blitz packages today from Alabama.
It seems like Alabama's scheme is going to have to be the best defense is going to be a great offense to keep Mallett on the sideline. That means the offense will have to sustain drives using their running backs, Trent Richardson and Mark Ingram. Let me show you you why these two guys are so special. Here's Trent Richardson right here against Penn State. Nice cut, but watch this. He's contacted initially at the 46-yard line. Yards after contact, they don't bring him down till 20 yards later. That's one quality. Here he is again, Trent Richardson. Second effort. Now he's touched at about the 26-yard line. It takes 5 Nittany Lions to bring him down to 30. And here's a showstopper, Mark Ingram, the Heisman Trophy winner. Excellent footwork. Watch this cut on a dime. Gives the Duke player some change. Now he's going down the field. He makes that guy pass on the tackle. 16 takes some punishment. What these guys bring to the offense as running backs are rare qualities. They run with passion, intensity, and with a purpose. They finish the run. And quite frankly, Coach, I think that's really difficult for Arkansas to prepare for, especially when you got two guys running at you with such intensity.
Yeah, but you know, with Mallett, he's third in the nation. He averages 15 yards per completion. But the thing that really key to me in this ball game, Arkansas is 10 for 10 in the red zone. Arkansas will score against Alabama, but Alabama outscores Arkansas.
Arkansas has had a habit of rallying from behind. In the last couple of meetings, they've fallen behind early by a couple of had to rally back. Not this time.
Not this time.
All right, they're ready.
Home game. They've been waiting since Tuesday. They've been camped out of that side of that stadium.
I've been impressed, though. You're right. Mark Ingram had that knee surgery. All backs want to get that same operation. Exactly. He came back refreshed and energized against Duke.
Yeah.
It was an impressive debut for him. Now for the game that many people believe will be the Crimson Tide's toughest test all season. You got some Bama roots. You live down there, right?
I do live in Alabama now. I actually saw the game day bus on Monday in Alabama. And was all excited, like I'm going to be out there next weekend. Yeah, I'm going with, you know, the Arkansas quarterback. I mean, he's got a big arm, lots of hype. Definitely going to be tough to beat. But you know that Saban has just hammered that Alabama defense this week after last week, and so you know I'm going with Bama. Roll Tide.
You better. You can't go home, right?
Exactly.
Roll Tide. They beat.
Enough said. I think Alabama's tired of hearing about Ryan Mallett. I think the story will be actually the other quarterback, Greg McElroy, throwing the ball. I like Alabama on the road.
High-scoring game?
Yeah.
Fun to watch?
Let's go.
Here come the Hogs.
They have elected to receive, and here's a small note of irony. The kick returner for the Razorbacks is Modrikas Humphrey, whose dad, Bobby, was one of the great running backs in Alabama history. And Humphrey takes it back. That's only his 4th kickoff return of the year. Green will open, and this might be the, high snap. Play fake Mallett. He's got a receiver open. It's out of the backfield. Jerry is right. Flying down the sidelines, and a huge gain. That's a gain of 31. Now out of the spread, here's Mallett back for the second time. He's got a man wide open. It's Ronnie Wingo, number 20. Scoots in for the touchdown, Arkansas. My goodness.
Well, Georgia held him to 3 plays. Alabama only took 2 plays for Ryan Mallett to score. The Alabama defense, there's the back. He's just going to wheel out. The receiver comes in, and Alabama does not cover. A miscommunication. Somehow, Alabama, one guy's in man, and the rest are playing zone. Let me show you one more time. If we could take that play one more. I think we had one player playing man, the rest playing zone, and look how calm Ryan Mallett comes off. Arkansas could not have started out any better. 2 plays, 7-0.
Guy behind Greg McElroy. Ingram goes left. Dropped by Jericho Nelson, number 31. There's one of them. He split wide left. McElroy. Oh boy, almost picked off by Isaac Madison as McElroy. Well, the first meeting between 2 top 10 teams in Fayetteville since '79. Houston came in and defeated Arkansas in that game. 54-yard gain on that touchdown.
Well, last year, Arkansas gave up 60 plays of more than 20 yards. This year, their longest was 18 yards until that run. Not only does he have great vision and anticipation, but look at his balance to keep his feet in bounds. Alabama answers the call. It started off bad, but their offense is really good.
A lot of enthusiasm from Nick Saban. 5 defensive backs in on 3rd down. Mallett, right side, left side, rather. And look at Broderick Green. In training camp this summer, beat out Alex Tejada, the senior. He's 2 for 2 for the year and make it 3 for 3.
See Nick and Kirby Smart. They're showing their defense.
Here's McElroy back to throw. Being chased. And intentional grounding. No,
I don't think
it's
so.
official ruling here is fumble by McElroy.
I think it is.
Yes.
The ball is fumbled, forward and out of bounds. It's returned to the spot of the fumble.
0.5 average. The handoff to Julio Jones coming right.
They've been raised in it. They've been around it. They came to Alabama for games like this.
Here's McElroy. That one is short. Michael Williams makes his 2nd catch of the afternoon, and it is close to the first down.
Inside Woo Pig City, Arkansas students started camping out on Monday night, close to 200 tents in all, more than a half-mile long. And give them credit, they made it through a rainstorm Thursday night. Some passed the time studying, others shaving their head. But the real highlight for these students was definitely when Ryan Mallett and some of his teammates came to deliver pizza, and it paid off because at 12 o'clock today, those students got the best seats in the house, guys.
Niall Davis is the running back now. Play fake, and a good one. Oh my goodness! Jerry is wide open. Dre Kirkpatrick is...
He's got his back turned to the play, but watch how Mallett buys time with the play-action pass. Watch the double move. Out and up. Kirkpatrick is, beaten by 20 yards.
Yes, and a gain of 43. Mallett, right side.
Oh, my.
Did he catch it?
Oh, my.
I think he might have, but he's hurt. Oh, dear.
You can't throw a ball any better than this. Watch this ball placed to the outside shoulder, perfectly thrown. Feet come in, and then his right leg kind of gets caught behind him on Kirkpatrick. How about Petrino? Vern. Kirkpatrick gets beat and comes right back at him the next play.
Ingram. Nice defensive job, led by Patrick Jones, number 9. And a Rhodes Scholar candidate, by the way. From behind, the tackle is made. That's Anthony Leon. Into the end zone, intercepted. And he'll run it out. Andrew Stewart, number 36. So Mallett is picked off for the Razorbacks. McElroy gets picked off for the Crimson Tide.
Watch this. Andrew Stewart reads the redirect by McElroy, so the combination of the pass rush and the time it created let Stewart jump on the play and make the interception.
How do you do? It remains 10-7. Chris Gregg in motion, wide to the left. Mallett always being chased from behind. Makes the catch. Greg Childs, the coach's pull. Left side. Ingram in trouble. caught short of the first down at the 49 Brothers. We compete, but we don't compete. Pump fake, man wide open, picked off. Oh, baby! Rudell Krim read the throw I don't think McElroy ever saw.
And in wheel route, this guy reads it all the way. Fake quick screen, looks like he's wide open, but Krim just eats up the play.
The coach is Petrino, offensive genius, guru really, and Saban, of course, on the other side of the ball. Niall Davis, first down, stop the clock while they move the chain.
Or did he get a block from behind?
Child's top of your screen, Mallett looks the other direction. Oh, he's got Jarius Wright. Wow! That combination has clicked today. That's a gain of 20. Draw play, right side, huge hole. Niall Davis to the 1-yard line. Quarterback sneak, touchdown, Arkansas.
What a turnaround. 2 huge interceptions by Greg McElroy.
Frame to score the touchdown. Bobby Petrino played collegiately for his dad at Carroll College in Helena, Montana. He said to us yesterday, this is just like Carroll versus Montana Tech. Maybe on a different level. Ingram. Wow. Anthony Leon, number 1, did a heck of a job.
Came backdoor. Carpenter's going to try to hook him. Watch him backdoor it. Comes inside the tackle and makes the play. There's the guy right there, Beckett. Can he do it?
They block him behind McElroy. Nice call. Ryan Mallett. Toss. Fake toss. Fires it.
Oh, man.
DJ Williams out to the 34.
Basically, is he a statue in the pocket? Watch his feet here. Bootleg, and then he backs up. Watch him back up, buy time, and deliver a strike.
Play fake. Mallett. Oh, boy. Joe Adams to the 20, first down. Arkansas.
And he just flipped it over his head. Watch coming off the end right here. He's going to get a guy right in his face. Fake inside. It was Damian Square, and he just flips it. Beautiful timing and execution on the boot.
Equal that from 48 yards. Bingo!
I'll tell you, Austin Tucker did a good job. This was not a good snap. Watch him pick it up on one bounce and get it down, and great concentration, because that ball was not there until he was swinging his leg. That's wonderful execution on a poor snap.
DJ Williams, the senior tight end. Watch him, watch the field goal. That way to go. 5 out of the 6. And here is the catch by Richardson.
Smart, strong, and a good play call. Can't beat that.
Second down, 5 DBs for Arkansas. McElroy, a lot of room to the left side. Oh, boy, he's popped.
In the country, this is a total bust. Julio Jones was right down the middle of the field for a touchdown. Watch this. No one covers him. No one's in the middle of the field because the quarterback was forced out of the pocket. But there was no safety. Fourth quarter, and they were going to have to continue to score to win.
Mallett handoff right side. Niall Davis, number 7. And he quickly moves it out just short of the 31. Mark Barron with a tackle. McElroy Ingram.
Jericho Nelson made a great play on that one because
McElroy, top of the screen. Here's Julio Jones. And this time Arkansas defends the run quite well. McElroy nailed.
That helped.
Tenarius Wright, number 43.
He got help, didn't he? Extra protection for Beckett over here. Chip him, but to the opposite side. Wright just outruns the block and gets a huge sack in this football game.
Willie Robinson gave them help. Alabama has 5 on the line, and they bring all 5. Hightower is blocked out. Mallett goes deep. Intercepted. Picked off by Robert Lester. Still up inside the 15. Ryan Mallett overthrew his intended receiver.
Well, Ryan Mallett wants it on his shoulders. It's on his shoulders. But when you put it to number 22, I'd feel good any time in this game. They mixed it up well, but when they went to Ingram and Richardson, that's their money, guys.
2:49 remaining, 4-point margin. Ryan Mallett set his short diving catch. Adams across the 50. And a first down for 49. That's a gain of 19. Under 2. He's being chased, lobs it deep. Oh, is it picked off?
It was.
Yes, it is. Dre Kirkpatrick, number 21. Damian Square with the pressure.
I think Mallett was trying to throw this ball away.
On 4th. Oh, he did. Yeah. Squeezed over his right guard.
Well, what a comeback for Alabama. Like they played in a lot of big games before, you could tell.
Crimson Tide win at 24-20.